see, and of course eventually regional population trajectories as well, on various permutations of assumptions about changes in fertility rate, rate of dissemination of technologies, and all those things. One has to start by understanding the nature of the problem and the magnitude of the problem under various scenarios, and then one can, of course, make recommendations to policy that will determine how to minimize the impact that might be caused by this technology, just as for any other technology.
My other question is, I read many years ago a book called The Selfish Gene, and aren't we actually, by encouraging the 1,000-year living, predisposing to natural selection for richer countries as opposed to poorer countries?
Well, okay, there are two sides to your question.
The technology is expensive.
Okay, so I
Carrying
get...
a car is expensive, very expensive. So
okay,
people in Africa don't have a lot of cars.
Yeah, okay. So the question is, aren't we going to have a bit of a problem, a sort of two-species problem here? Aren't we going to have the wealthy having access to this technology and the poorer countries or populations not having access, and there being a divergence of equality? This is basically your question, right?
Natural selection.
Well, right, yeah, so yeah, divergence of equality.
Darwinism.
Right, so of course, we wouldn't necessarily expect these populations not to interbreed, right? You know, wealthy people and poor people do occasionally have sex. So, so I don't think from the point of view of, strictly speaking, natural selection we've got a problem, though of course there is another...
Statistically, how often do they have sex?
Oh, no, the question is how often do they need to in order to have appropriate gene flow, and the answer is not very much at all. To answer your question, I don't actually think that we do have a problem of inequality of, or sorry, non-universality of access in this. The reason why not is because, unlike current high-tech new medicine that's expensive, this medicine will have a completely different economic arithmetic. At the moment, we have the difficulty that all of you are aware of, namely that geriatric medicine doesn't really work very well. In other words, we spend a great deal of money allowing people to live a little bit longer, and basically we don't get anything back. They still spend the same amount of time, or perhaps even longer than they otherwise would have done, in a frail state, consuming resources, not contributing wealth to society. No, the economic argument is poor, and that's why the health service costs so much. But if we can do the sort of thing I've been describing, then people will never get into that state. We just won't have any frail people anymore. And that means that the economic arithmetic is completely different. Prevention really is better than cure. We will end up saving an enormous amount of money, even though these therapies are expensive. And that means that it will actually be economically suicidal for any nation not to invest the resources to actually keep its chronologically elderly people biologically useful. The correct precedent that we have today is not existing high-tech medicine. The correct precedent is basic education, which even in a pretty tax-averse society like the USA is universally available without a requirement for payment. And the reason it is because it would shoot the country in the foot in the long term not to give its population basic education. It's going to be exactly the same deal economically. You wrap up when you need to.
Okay. We have some rooms actually, so we're going to head over to the faculty lounge. Please help yourself with the pizza right now. Plates, everything's here.